Did you see that video footage of Mark Carney talking to King Charles, because he's over there now bootlicking, how he lost his Order of Canada pin on the tarmac of the airport when he landed in London? He's caught on a hot mic saying to the king, to the other lizard, saying that his little Order of Canada lapel pin fell on the tarmac and oh, hope it doesn't get crushed. This is how these people act. These little beta feminized male is talking about Order of Canada lapel pin, which I'm sure he can get another one couriered to him. Put a Canada lapel pin on in the meantime. On my channel today, I want to discuss a couple things. Most importantly, I want to discuss first, the federal government has filed for leave to appeal to the Supreme Court of Canada with regards to the Emergencies Act that the Trudeau Liberals put forth during the trucker convoy in February 2022. So I believe they had 60 days from the time that the Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional to file an appeal. So the federal government did that, and they filed for leave to appeal to the Supreme Court of Canada. This is an attempt to overturn lower court decisions that found the use of the Emergencies Act during the 2022 convoy protest was unlawful and violated charter rights. In 2024, federal court ruling said that the act was used improperly. In January 2026, the Federal Court of Appeal upheld that ruling, agreeing the legal threshold for national emergency was not met. Okay, so now Carney's government is asking the Supreme Court to review and potentially overturn those decisions. Technically, it's the federal government, not Carney personally, that files the appeal. But as Prime Minister, he is politically responsible for that decision. So I said at a very early juncture that Mark Carney was responsible for enacting the Emergencies Act. Now, I knew that Mark Carney was a pro bono advisor for Trudeau probably at around that time, 2022. And I believe that Carney was his advisor since 2020. So if you don't know, Justin Trudeau was a patsy. He was just a high-level patsy, not too bright, put in place to dupe the liberal Karens in this country to vote for liberalism. And they did that hand over fist. I'm not surprised. A lot of people are saying they are surprised with Carney's government challenging the Supreme Court's ruling. Now, this is just more fuel or more validity to the fact that Mark Carney was the one that came up with this plan of the Emergencies Act. So he could have let it go. He could have let that slide with the Trudeau government, but he didn't do that because it's his baby. He's the one that put Chrystia Freeland, he's the one that put Justin Trudeau and all their underlings up to invoking the Emergencies Act, which subsequently froze bank accounts. This is all Mark Carney's doing. Mark Carney, I'm not going to get I'm not going to go off on a tirade today. I'm not going to go off calling Mark Carney a bunch of different names, all that sort of thing. And I'm not worried about the police knocking on my door. Do I want them knocking on my door? Absolutely, I do not. Trust me. But I am not, if you watch my content, you know I'm not too careful with what I say. I'm not threatening anyone. And I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into that a little later in the video. But Mark Carney is not going to let this go because he wants to enact it again. He has plans for the so-called dissidents that go against his liberal ideologies, which are communistic ideologies. He has plans for people like me and millions of other Canadians. This is not a fringe movement, as Justin Trudeau would like you to believe. There are a lot of patriots in this country, and it's not even so much being a patriot or being a nationalist. It's to the point where people are... the people that are awake, they are becoming increasingly more frustrated and increasingly more vocal with their dissension towards the way the liberal government is treating people in this country. Now, the people that they've imported, the millions and millions of people that they've imported, and tens of millions of other people that they've indoctrinated over decades of the educational system, through government programs, through government employment, those people don't want to rock the boat. And not only do they not want to rock the boat, they are going to do everything in their power to ensure that the liberals stay in power, because it guarantees them some sort of government handout. Whether it be you work for the government, whether it be you are on social assistance, welfare, you're on some sort of disability program, whatever the government at any level can give you from a financial perspective, people are going to fight for that. a lot of people in this country are losing hope. And people that go to work every day and, put in minimum 40 hours, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, they are becoming increasingly more, and I'm going to use the word frustrated, but it's angry, because they know that they can't keep their head above water with the cost of rents, mortgages, car insurance, gas, food. They are falling further and further into debt, to the point where a lot of people are giving up, and they are going to resort to drastic measures to get their point across. People are doing things right now in this country that they normally wouldn't do prior to the Liberals taking power in 2015. There's people going into grocery stores and stealing food because they have no choice. And I'm not saying these people aren't working. A lot of these people that are going into grocery stores and stealing things are working. Now, constantly we see video footage on the internet, not so much on the news, of people going into liquor stores, sporting goods stores, electronic stores, and just loading up their bags, their shopping carts, whatever, and just walking out. Now, when you see things like that, it's a snowball effect where you start to think, hey, why are these people getting away with it? And I have to go in there, and what little money I have left after paying all my bills, I got to pay for it. So I say in a lot of my videos that we are on the verge of societal collapse. I can feel it out on the streets. I can feel the tension out on the streets. People are walking around, and obviously you're not going to see it inside your car. You're going to see it on the TTC. You're going to see it on foot. To a lesser extent, when I ride my bike, you don't see it as much on your bike, because you're traveling at a faster speed, and your mobility is vastly enhanced. But when you're walking street level, it doesn't matter where you are. You're downtown, you're in the woods, an urban park. You can see that the level of desperation just in people's faces and the way they mill about, you can see that it is legitimate. And I'm going to tell you, and a lot of people are saying this, that things are going to change. And I've been saying it for years. I know a lot of people that have my mindset have been saying, there's going to be a societal collapse. There's going to be civil unrest in the streets, potential power outages, potential food shortages. I know we're never going to run out of water, but you just can't drink water out of the lake if it's not treated. You just can't go put a cup in and drink Lake Ontario water. You need pumping stations. You need water treatment plants to treat the water. So once all that infrastructure collapses, you're going to have to come up with an alternative means to feed yourself and to hydrate yourself. And I'm not going to get into a prepper video here, but Dougie Ford coming out and saying about the pepper spray. Dougie Ford coming out and saying about he wants to hold judges accountable for giving repeat offenders bail leniency. He wants to out these type people. And at the end of the day, I said in my video yesterday, Dougie is at the top of the food chain in this province, and he could put forth measures to prevent judges from releasing repeat offenders with lenient bail conditions. Now, it's been brought to my attention, and you might already know this as well, that there was, I believe, a home invasion. I think it was either yesterday or the day before in Vaughan, where a couple, let's just call them street punks, because that's what they are. They are street punks that are probably never, ever going to contribute to society. They've been brought up in a system where they think in their mind that gangsterism and doing strong arm robberies is how they are going to make their living. So I think it was 3 or 4 guys kicked the door in Vaughan, and the homeowner started blasting them with a firearm that he possessed. I don't know if it was a hand pew pew or a long one. I don't know, but apparently he shot and injured one of them at least, and apparently the police aren't going to charge him. And because he had his weapons stored properly and all that sort of good stuff. So that is kind of refreshing news to hear, that they are not going to charge the homeowner. But you're seeing more and more and more of this. And with Doug Ford's, you know, I guess you would call it the pepper spray, carrying pepper spray, making it legal. I guess that's maybe a gateway to allowing homeowners to defend their homes with something stronger than pepper spray. It doesn't get much stronger than one of these, or a long one. So, you know, the way society has been allowed to behave like this, and not only, and I'm going to get into the court system in 1 second here, but not only has it been allowed to behave like this, it's been groomed, it's been manifested to behave like this, especially under the Liberal government. You may or may not know, I was involved in a court case involving my friend's son's murder. And the murder occurred in 2024, early 2024, and 3 people were charged with the murder. One of them is still outstanding. Now, I'm not going to get too much into that. 2 have been convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 8.5 years. So, when I was down at the court, I believe it was 10 Armory Street. It's right behind City Hall in downtown Toronto. It's a purpose-built court building. It's relatively new. I believe it was completed, I don't know, 2022, 2023, something around that time. It's a huge building. I've captured it a couple times on my videos, and I've been pretty much, not all through it, but I know how the building works from being there multiple times. I know how victim services works. You know, for people that don't know what victim services is, I'll briefly discuss that. If you've been a victim of crime, or a loved one has been a victim of crime, the province of Ontario allows a program that you can get involved in where people will help you navigate the court system, navigate, you know, if you have any psychological negative ramifications from the crime, they will help you with that. They provide assistance, is what I'm trying to say. And it just so happens during this case, I knew one of the victim services person from years ago, and so that was even, you know, more of a help. Very nice people. You know, I have nothing to say. Actually, I have nothing to say bad about the people that I dealt with in the courts from the government level. Victim services, our 2 Crown attorneys were very good with us. The judge was very good. But I touched on this in one of my videos before, where I was sitting on the bench outside of one of the courtrooms that we were waiting to go into, and I looked at my friend and I looked around and I said, you know what? If it wasn't for, and you know, I don't care how this comes across, and I really don't, because I'm past that point. I looked to my friend and I said to him, I go, if it wasn't for unvetted immigration and the numbers of immigration that we have brought in so rapidly in this country, we wouldn't need this building. This building, these hallways would be relatively empty. You would need a building the fraction of the size of this to handle the court cases. So what I'm trying to say is, in my estimation, to the highest extent from 2015, the Liberals have imported, opened the door and allowed this crime wave to come in. So of course you're going to need bigger court buildings. You're going to need more Crown attorneys. You're going to need more lawyers. I understand it financially greases the legal system, and everyone's getting paid, making bank. These Crown attorneys, these judges, lawyers, public, well, not public defenders. What are they called here? I don't know what the legal aid lawyers. They're all making bank off criminals that we've shipped into this country. You know, when you go to these court environments, it's not a nice environment to be in. You're dealing with mental health issues. You're dealing with people that are involved with traumatic experiences through violent crimes, and there's a lot of people that are in these court buildings that are living below the poverty line. A lot of these people are living based on what the government provides them. Okay, they don't have a job, and they have no mindset to even look for a job. They have been brought into this country. They have been institutionalized through the Liberal government just to wait by their computer to make sure their money's been put into their account. People, I don't even know how this works, but if people are still getting checks mailed to their house, whatever, I don't know how it works, but for that sort of thing. So they are solely reliant on what the government will give them. And that makes them subservient, like I've said before, makes them subservient to the Liberal government, and they're going to be lifelong Liberal voters. And the Mark Carneys of the world, the Justin Trudeaus of the world, they are extremely wealthy people. They are never put in the situation where their front door is going to get kicked in and their car keys are going to get stolen, or they're going to get punched in the face on the TTC platform and fall in front of a subway train. They're not going to be put in that situation because they've created the problem, but they've also created the solution for themselves. They've surrounded themselves with countless layers of armed protection. So you imagine, okay, even these celebrities, let's take any big celebrity, for example, or any big tech mogul, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, those sorts of people. They have high level security. They have retired tier 1 operators protecting them, SEALs, Rangers, in Canada, it's Joint Task Force 2 people, high-level RCMP tactical operators. They have those sorts of people protecting them. And they are making it in Canada where that protection is going to increase for each of them, and it's going to be lifelong protection. I've met Brian Mulroney and his daughter, Carolyn Mulroney, very inadvertently. I was walking downtown. I was on a long hike, urban hike, and I come across Carolyn and Brian Mulroney when he was still alive, near the University of Toronto campus. And I recognized her right away because she's a very attractive woman. Then I seen the chin standing behind. So this would have been, I don't know, less than 10 years ago. And so I went up to them. They were very approachable, but they had, I would imagine it was Brian's security detail, had 2 people with them, older guys and bigger guys, right? And they were keeping a very close eye on me. One of the security detail actually took the picture of me, Brian, and Carolyn. If I can find the picture, I'll put it up. But they have lifelong security, and that was Brian Mulroney. He was out of office, I believe, in the late 80s, early 90s. So he was a long retired prime minister, and there wasn't so much controversy back then surrounding the volatility within politics. Now, whatever volatility that is been stirred up in politics today is through their own doing, and they know that, and they know they want to keep their security notoriety at the forefront because they want to make it look like they are in harm's way. Now, you will look at a person like Justin Trudeau. We'll get a little bit more current here. Justin Trudeau. It'd be very, and his girlfriend Katy Perry. It'd be probably pretty tricky for a person like me to walk up on Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry. He'd obviously have a lot more active RCMP guarding him, and she probably has her own security detail as well. And so if they don't want you getting close, you're not going to get close to them. That day when I met Brian Mulroney and Carolyn Mulroney, I could have been nasty with them, and who knows what the outcome would have been. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. That's not my mindset, okay? That's not my mindset at all with any politician. But the likelihood of something happening to a Mark Carney, to a Justin Trudeau, is vastly diminished because of their layers of security that they have in place. Now, everyone in Canada in the last couple days, I shouldn't say everyone, but people that are in the know have seen a video of the Toronto Police Service, TPS, knocking on a woman's door in the Toronto area and confronting her with an online post. I think it might have been on Facebook. I have what she actually said. I'll put that up on the screen. And basically, they accused her of potentially breaking the law with something she said regarding Prime Minister Carney. Now, such as myself, I say a lot of things on on differing social media platforms. So you'd have to be very specific and point out what exactly I said. And that's what she asked. Now, she was pretty hostile right from the get-go, and I don't blame her. 2 uniformed cops show up at her door accusing her of online crimes. Yes, people are going to get a little hostile, and I thought she did pretty good, actually. But she let the cops know where she was coming from. So the cop had a chest rig on him. He had a bag with a molly bag, and he had his phone in his molly bag, and he went to motion for his phone to read what she said, but he never got to that. He never got to the point where he read verbatim what she had said online. So she couldn't think of at the time what she said. So she more or less told him that she doesn't like the prime minister. She called him a Zionist, and you're not. And if you want to arrest me for that, go ahead and arrest me for that. But the cop said, I'm warning you. People in North America seem to think that treason is still a hangable offense. I'm not so sure that it is. I don't think anyone's ever going to get hung for anything in this country, right? We all know that. We don't have capital punishment in this country. So for people to say, you want people unalived for treasonous acts, it's never going to happen, so don't say it. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not going to happen. And anyhow, if anything, what that lady could have said was, she could say whatever she wants about Carney and, where the chips fall there. But, don't come across and say that you want people unalived as a result of what they're doing. Now, I'm sure a lot of people think that way, but it isn't going to happen. It isn't going to happen under our current system for sure. Will our current system change one day or change one day soon? Maybe it will. I don't know. And if that day does come, well, then we will cross that bridge when we come to it. Mark Carney, Dougie Ford. On the federal level, Mark Carney is doubling down on the charter rights infringement. He's appealing it. On the provincial level, Dougie Ford is coming out more with regards to being able to defend yourself. The pepper spray. Now, my pepper spray video yesterday, a lot of people in the comment section saying, pepper spray is more or less useless, and it's not completely useless. But it could deter if you're using it for what Dougie Ford wants you to use it for against people attacking you. It could deter that. If you get it directly in the eyes or mouth, it's going to deter you. I've never been sprayed, but I've been around it, and it's an irritant to say the least. But here's the thing: if you get someone with severe psychotic issues and is high on, whatever chemical substance that makes you go psychotic, it might not have the effect that you would hope that it would have. Which means, like, you see people that get pepper sprayed, you see people that get tased, they keep coming. And if you don't have a plan to physically to have hand-to-hand combat with someone in the event pepper spray fails, you could be seriously injured and if not unalived. So be very aware of that. So I'm specifically talking to beta feminized males and women that don't have any sort of hand-to-hand combat training or have never been in a physical altercation. If you deploy a pepper spray or a bear spray on someone, be prepared that person might not be nullified as a result, and they will come at you still. So that's my disclaimer with pepper spray. So it's not an end all to be all with protecting, with saving your life. So Dougie Ford is more or less putting out a false sense of security and a false sense of hope, and he's deflecting onus. He's deflecting blame for what he's allowed through the Liberal government to happen in Canada. It doesn't take a genius to figure out, if you watch any sort of internet content or even on mainstream media, that I would say a 99% criminal rate is people that would appear to be new to the country. Whether they be foreign exchange students, whether they be people escaping persecution in Africa, whether it be people from the Middle East escaping persecution from a war zone. If you read that as a racist comment from me, well, go ahead, read it as a racist comment. I'm just stating the facts. The facts are, if you go on the internet, if you go on any mainstream media websites and you start pulling up criminal activity and people that have been caught or people that the police are looking for, their first country of origin isn't Canada. I would say 9 times out of 10. So that's what I'm trying to say. We've imported the problem. We've imported this criminal problem. Now, people like Doug Ford are saying, well, you got pepper spray. Well, Dougie, pepper spray ain't going to cut it. We got to address the root cause of why we have to go around clutching pepper spray. People are going around wearing bulletproof vests. Now, you can argue a bulletproof vest isn't bulletproof. A bullet-resistant vest, okay? Plate carriers, they're going around with illegal weapons on them because I'm not saying a bulletproof vest is a legal weapon. It isn't in Canada, in Ontario. What I'm saying is people are taking the legal risk of walking around with weapons on their possession because they want to defend themselves against what the Liberal government has imported. Even other people that have been imported in this country are defending themselves against other people that have been imported, if that makes any sense. People are walking around here all sorts with these. And it's illegal. So put this in perspective. You have everyone walking on the street with one of these, and someone like me is not allowed to carry one of these because I'm a law-abiding citizen. So that puts me at a distinct disadvantage. I pull out pepper spray. Some 14-year-old punk from that has been in the country 2 years, true story, pulls out one of these that he sourced illegally through his gangbang and homies or through the States, and I got a pepper spray in my hand. How do you think that's going to end up? People always say in my comment section, never bring pepper spray to that kind of fight. Never bring an edged weapon to that kind of fight. Of course. Now, I would hope to think a lot of people making these comments aren't directly talking to me. They are talking to the general broader audience that watches my videos. Because sometimes I take it personally. I'm thinking to myself, like, you're not talking to me about this. Like, I know the streets. I know how this works. I get it. We are living in a very dangerous world. And in my estimation, we are on the precipice, on the verge of total societal collapse in this country. Okay, there's going to be a day very soon like they're experiencing in Cuba. If we go to a full socialist, which we pretty much are a full socialist country now, but if we take it one step further that the Liberals want, which is a communist country, don't think we're not going to end up like Cuba. I think they just got their power turned back on, or partially. I was in the Danforth last weekend, I believe. I went down to a comedy club with my friend. He wanted to pick up some tickets for a comedy show, and when we were driving down the Danforth, it was at night, and the power went out. For people that live out in the East End, they know that obviously, and it made the news. And we were driving down the Danforth, like I said, and it's an eerie feeling just to see everything go dark. And you see people, and the Danforth is a busy area, and you see people milling about in a blackout situation. And I said to my friend, I go, let's. We went to the comedy club. He asked some questions, whatever. It worked out. But the comedy club was still going. I guess they had some backup lighting, or they had some battery lighting, whatever. Good environment, no problem there. But we walked back to the car, and this is on the eastern terminus of the Danforth, so way out east. And I said to my buddy, I go, let's get in this car and get the frig out of here. Let's get back into where there's power, right? Apparently there was 5,000 customers without power. I would have to say it was more than 5,000 customers, but that's what was reported. And a lot of people don't take that situation seriously. There are no alarm systems or a lot of alarm systems that won't work. Camera systems that won't work. I know a lot of them have battery backup. Obviously refrigeration doesn't work. So which means there are people that are opportunists that are going to take advantage of the power out right away to start doing criminal activity. So we got out of that area, and we got back over the Bloor Viaduct, and everything was fine. And a lot of people wouldn't have that mindset that I had. They're just milling about thinking everything was, this is kind of fun. No, it's not fun. You don't understand how dark things get when the power goes out. It was dark. Okay, I'm aware of this because I spend time in the woods at night where you can't see a foot in front of you. I know what darkness is. A lot of people just thought it was a novelty. No. I haven't heard of any crime that was committed during a power outage, and you probably would. Even the mainstream media might report that. Recap. Carney's Liberals are contesting the Emergencies Act non-constitutional judgment from the Supreme Court. They are not happy with already 2 levels of court, so they're going to go back at it again. Dougie Ford wants people to use pepper spray. Touched on that yesterday and today. And the thought police are coming to the doors of people in Toronto before Bill C-9 has even gone to the Senate. So what do you think is going to happen when Carney's Liberals get the majority on April 13th? They're going to put that Bill C9 through so quick it's going to make your head spin. Then everyone like myself is going to start getting knocks on the door. And my advice to you, and you know what I'm going to do, make sure you video it. Don't let the police in, and video it. You know, if you're not threatening anyone, if you're not threatening anyone's life, who is making the determination up to send the police to your door? Because I call Mark Carney a fork-tongued lizard, I'm going to get a knock on the door from the Toronto police. That's a crime. They're going to throw me in jail for 10 years for calling Mark Carney what he actually is. Did you see that video footage of Mark Carney talking to King Charles, because he's over there now bootlicking, how he lost his Order of Canada pin on the tarmac of the airport when he landed in London? He lost his little goofy Order of Canada pin. Now I call it goofy because they're just handing it out to people that are like-minded like him. They are diminishing the real essence of that award to be bestowed upon people, when people like him, that's all they wear is a Order of Canada pin, and they don't wear a Canada lapel pin. So he's saying, he's caught on a hot mic saying to the king, to the other lizard, saying that his little Order of Canada lapel pin fell on the tarmac, and I hope it doesn't get crushed. I hope it doesn't give his airplane a flat tire. You know, like this is how these people act. These little beta feminized male is talking about Order of Canada lapel pin, which I'm sure he can get another one couriered to him within an hour, well, or however long it takes to get one across the ocean, not an hour. You know what I mean? Like, put a Canada lapel pin on in the meantime. Don't worry about your goofy Liberal Order of Canada pin, okay? We'll get you another one, Marky. We'll get you another one. That's all I got to say today. Thanks for watching. Bye.